This Pokemon game has zombies invading the Kanto region. I played Pokemon Stigma, a Pokemon ROM hack where you specifically have to deal with a zombie invasion in the Kanto region. We get to deal with infected trainers and Pokemon, deal with a glitch in the world, and also deal with the most evil team of all time. So if you are ready, let's go. So our journey starts off and we get to meet, well, the professor in this game, who was actually the daughter of, I guess, Professor Oak for some reason. Her name is actually, I think, Rose, if I remember correctly, but I decided to call her Rival because, well, I like to be a goofball. Either way, though, after introducing ourselves, we get launched into the world and we figure out that, hey, today we're going to become a trainer. So we go downstairs and we meet up with our mom as well as Eric and Selena, two of our best friends from childhood. And we're both going to be going over to get ourselves our starter Pokemon. So we head over to the professor's lab, and as we go inside, well, we get to choose between, well, 3 really great starter options. But before that, we get to learn about, well, how things have been and that we're excited to become a trainer. So after talking to our mom and also talking to the professor, we check out the Pokemon. Elekid is one of the first options, but that's not all. There's also a Magby, and finishing things off, there is a Gibble. If you guys, well, already know me, you know what I'm going to go for. Obviously, it's going to be the Elekid. Never mind. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys think I'm going to do that? Of course, I'm going to go for the Gibble. It is a dragon type at the end of the day. Nonetheless, though, after doing this, we have to battle Selena as she wants to take us on in a battle. She kicks things off with a Magby, but since we have Gibble on our side, we go for the tackle. However, I will point out that she does get the burn on us because of the flame body, so it's a little bit annoying, and we end up taking way too much damage and losing the battle at the end of the day, which again is unfortunate. Either way, though, we receive ourselves a Pokedex, and then it's time to actually, well, leave the lab. We gotta go and do a few things. One of those things is to actually go to the Pokemon Tower, because we actually are living in Lavender Town, and we gotta enter the Pokemon Tower specifically for one reason. It is to go and visit the Curlia grave, which actually belonged to the family that our character is from. But we run into a person, a weird, strange person, standing next to the grave of our Curlia, which is really strange. So we decide to confront this person. What are they doing on the grave? Why are they here? What's going on? So we asked him, what's going on? What are you doing? Why are you opening the graves? He tells us to go away, but, well, we challenge him in a battle. This mysterious man, though, sends out a Gengar, and it's just not any kind of Gengar. It's a level 65 Gengar, which pretty much destroys our team, and then he tells us that, well, pride would consume us, and all of a sudden we wake up back at home. It turns out somebody saved us from a massive explosion that happened at the Pokemon Tower. So, again, we don't really know what caused it, probably this mysterious man, but we decide, okay, let's go outside and see what's happening. As we go outside, it looks like the police has shown up, and they want to specifically arrest us. They want to arrest me, because the explosion, according to them, was caused by us, and the police officer is even acting very aggressive and just generally very rude. So, of course, as per usual, since this is Pokemon, we're going to challenge him to a Pokemon battle. So we take him on. Of course, this is Police Chief Bernard, and he's going to be a pain in the ass throughout this whole game. He goes out with a Growlithe, we go in for the tackles, and he just hits us with a few Leers, lowering our defense, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter because the tackles are enough to defeat him. And so now that we defeated him, he pretty much lets us go as we prove that, hey, we did not do this. What do you want us to, like, say? Like, we didn't cause the explosion. There's not really any point. And it most likely was the mysterious man. So everybody splits up. Selena goes one way and Eric goes the other. And as we run down the route, we run into our first zombie. Yes, this is an infected trainer. And now these guys are going to be all over this game. And he actually is an infected Pidgey as well. So yes, basically the mysterious man must have caused this. That's at least the conclusion we come to. So now we got to figure out who the mysterious man is, what's causing this infection, and what's going on. And also, these guys are really sketchy. These zombies are really weird, man. Either way, though, we run around in the grass and we find ourselves a Shinx, and we decide to capture it and add it to our team, which, yeah, makes total sense because guess what? This Shinx is going to end up becoming one of our best Pokemon, and we just call him Doof because, well, he's a bit of a doofus. Either way, though, we also run into another one of the zombies using a infected Rattata, and then we try to help Selena as she's getting attacked by a bunch of them at the same time. So we get in here. This one also uses a Pidgey, which is, again, not much that big of a deal, as we are able to just kind of, with the help of both Doof as well as, of course, our Gibble, take down this fella. But it turns out Selena it's pretty much getting attacked by them again. There's a lot of these zombies all over the place, and I will point out there are multiple games where you can play with zombies, but these guys are literally falling apart, and well, we get attacked by another horde of them, but luckily for us, these weird monks show off with the man called Stefano. They come in and they pretty much vanquish these zombies as they disappear, and then they just leave on their merry way. As we are heading towards specifically Fuchsia City, we run into Selena, and she's being stopped by some news reporters who are being really, really rude and really, like, just kind of weird. So we battled them. Their Magnemite here doesn't stand much of a chance because we now also have Rock Tomb on Gibble, and same thing for the Wishmer. They fall down, and then they ask us to follow them all the way into Fuchsia City. When we reach Fuchsia, though, it looks like an evil team, apparently a group that calls their leader Sectum, or at least the admin here is called Sectum. They are here currently dealing with, it looks like Ethan. Now, Ethan is actually the gym leader of the Fuchsia City gym, but we decide to help him out by defeating these Team Nihilists, or Nihilists. They're specifically, I guess, grunts, who are using an Ekans in this case, and it goes down pretty easily. Same thing with the Zubats, and after defeating them, we have to deal with Sectum, who is, I guess, the admin of Team Nihilist. We take down his Zubat with pretty much 2 hits from Rock Tomb, which is really strong, and then the Houndour comes out, and here we go for Rock Tomb again, which does a decent chunk of damage, taking it down almost in a singular hit, but it takes a few more tackles until it is down. After defeating them, they get angry and leave, but, well, Ethan thanks us, and he tells us that those guys were looking for something specific, seemingly legendary Pokemon, which he wasn't going to tell them where they are, because, well, he doesn't even know himself, so he tells us instead to go over to his gym and take him on. We buy a few potions and stuff first before we go in, and as we enter the gym, here he is. It's our first gym battle, and it's against gym leader Ethan. He starts off with a Sentret, so we go for the Rock Tomb, as it does a decent chunk of damage, but not enough, but it also helps us with the speed decrease there, which is going to be great. Then we switch over into Doof, and luckily for us, though, Doof does evolve into Luxio as we try to rebattle Ethan, because the first time it didn't really work out in our favor. So now that we are actually evolved and doing better, we can go back in, and we got the takedown, which takes down Sentret, and then for the Hoot Hoot, same thing here. We just spam the takedown and hope that it's enough to defeat this thing, but the potion does come in, which heals it up. Unfortunately for this thing, though, tackle is enough to take it down, leaving only a Cyndaquil left to deal with. Here the Rock Tomb comes in, does a chunk of damage, not enough to take it down in a singular hit, but the smoke screen doesn't really do much for us. I mean, it's just going to lower our accuracy, but takedown is, well, just going to hit anyways. So there it is, ladies and gents. We got ourselves our first gym badge, and we defeated Ethan of the first gym in Fuchsia, which is really weird, man. He just left Johto to become a gym leader in Kanto. Bit strange. Nonetheless, though, we head down to the bottom of Fuchsia City, where our boat is waiting to take us over to a new place. So we get on the boat, and we go over to Cinnabar Island. As we reach here, though, it looks like Eric is here too, but something is going down. It looks like some bad stuff is happening. It seems like Lyra, yes, Lyra from the Johto region as well, is here dealing with Stefano and those, you know, I guess clerks, or whatever you want to call them, clerics. Yeah, they're still here either way. So now that we deal with them, one of them wants to battle us, specifically Stefano, the leader. So yeah, we gotta actually deal with him. He's called a Great Sage. He has a Natu, which we take down with the help of a singular Rock Tomb, which is not that big of a deal. He also has a Drowsy, same thing here, just spamming that Rock Tomb, hoping it does enough damage. We do fall asleep though, which is a little bit annoying. Eventually we wake up, and the Rock Tomb a singular time is able to take him down, which means that, hey, we defeated Stefano. So now that he knows how strong we are, he pretty much just leaves with his little, like, clerics and his little sages, and they go off on their merry way. Lyra tells us, hey, something is going on in the Pokemon Mansion, so I'm going to be waiting for you in the gym while you, I guess, hey, you go deal with the Pokemon Mansion stuff, because she's just too lazy to do it. So yeah, we got to go into the Pokemon Mansion to deal with whatever's happening here, which looks to be some weird stuff. There's seemingly demons in here, yes. Literal demons. A shadow demon named Gabriel is here, and he's using the Ghost. Now, you guys may know the Ghost from Pokemon Creepypastas, but basically, the Ghost is a, well, made-up thing within Pokemon, or actually does sort of, I guess, appear within Pokemon. It is an actual legitimate, I think, sprite in the game, but normally the Ghost was just something that would showed up in specifically Lavender Tower. Either way, though, we capture ourselves a Litwick and add that to the team, and then we also find ourselves another Pokemon after a short bit as well, a Sableye, which I decide, okay, let's capture that and add that to the team as well. And then we just deal with a bunch of the ghosts along the way here, until eventually we run into a little creepy ghost girl. She's in this room, so we decide, okay, well, let's deal with her, because she's the one causing all the trouble here. And this ghost girl, well, she's using, first of all, one of the ghosts, which again shows up in the Lavender Tower, and we take that down with, I think, a Dragon Breath, and then there's also a Ghastly. So here, Dragon Breath comes in again. It does a decent chunk of damage, but we're starting to run out of a lot of PP on a lot of our moves. So for the Cubone, we finish it off with a few moves from Doof. And then she tells us he was buried alive, which, for you guys that do know what that is, well, that's a reference to another creepypasta within Pokemon. Either way, now that we dealt with that, we go over to specifically take on Lyra's gym. First, we deal with all of her little trainers in the beginning here. The first one goes down relatively easily, and then she freaks out that she lost, which even Lyra thinks that's a little bit too sensitive. Either way, though, now it's time to actually battle Lyra from Johto. She starts off with a Hoot Hoot, which is interesting because I guess, did Ethan use that too? Nonetheless, A singular rock tomb takes it down, leaving a Meryl now up against us as well. Here a Dragon Breath comes in, takes more than half its HP down, and we go for another Dragon Breath, which is enough to take down the Meryl, leaving only a Bay Leaf left now, and it's mostly just spams of Dragon Breaths. And luckily for us, she does go for the potion, but eventually we do take it down though. So luckily enough, we got the second badge without too much of a hustle, and now we can leave and head on to the next place. We take the boat from here on Cinnabar Island over towards where Pallet Town would be, but apparently Pallet Town was destroyed in an earthquake, which is, well, a bit crazy, so now only Route 1 exists. As we make our way through Route 1, another zombie attacks us with a, well, I guess a zombified Raticate. Here we go for the Rock Tomb, but it misses the first time, and we get hit by a Hyperfang, which is a little bit worrisome, but we decide, okay, let's go for the takedown. Doesn't really work out, so we switch over to Doof, and here, luckily against the Pidgeot, we're able to take it down with, I think, a Spark. So yeah, we make it into Vermilion City, we explore a little bit and go heal up before we head to the gym. As we go into the gym, well, we're about to battle another gym leader, and this one was a little bit unexpected. So first of all, we take down all the gym trainers, right? It's going to be just a mix of ace trainers and stuff like that. The first one has a Skitty, and that is just taken down with the help of Doof and also with our Gibble. Next up is going to be Azumarill. Here it's pretty relevantly easy as well. Next person, though, he puts our Pokemon to sleep with the Torkoal, but the rest of his team is pretty much just swept to with the help of Doof, who's going to become our strongest Pokemon. And it turns out that the gym leader of this place is going to be Brendan from Pokemon Ruby, which, yeah, a bit random. But again, he starts up with the Tailo, go for the Spark. It's a one-hit KO. He also has a Marsh Stomp, so we can't use electric type moves, so we instead go for Bite, which does more than enough. And then for the Shroomish, we finish it off with the help of Sableye as well as Litwick. And Torkoal comes in next, and here we go. Same thing here. Doof comes in, finishes things up, and there it is. We got ourselves our third gym badge. So yes, the badges are relatively easy to get. We're then told by this guy that we should, well, probably not go up north because there is an old man sleeping on the ground, and he tells us he's the ROM hack creator of Pokemon Stigma. And then all of a sudden, he gives us an item. He tells us that it's going to have impact on the plot, an unknown orb. So yeah, after receiving that from this strange old man, we tell him that it's just a bunch of trash he's giving us, and well, he just doesn't, well, really care anymore. So all of a sudden, the grunts from earlier in the game, they actually show up and they want to battle us again. So that's exactly what we do. This first guy uses a team of 4 Pokemon. Zubat is the first one out. It goes down relatively easily again to Doof with the Spark. Same thing with the Skorupi. It goes down pretty easily. Same thing here. We just spam a few bites and a singular Spark is enough to kind of take its HP down for the most part. And then all of a sudden, we decide to leave this place, head into Viridian Forest, do a tiny bit of exploration, when all of a sudden, we get a flashback memory. Our head starts hurting, and we show up at the Pokemon Tower out of all places, which is really weird, man. We just get teleported there out of nowhere while going through Viridian Forest. And as we're in here, we interact with one of the graves, and it just says it's very, very lonely. Either way, after all of this weirdness, we go into the forest and we actually find a Heracross that we capture and add to our squad as well, calling him Harry. So actually it's a female, but that doesn't really matter. This guy's just really happy about jumping down the ledge, which is cool, I guess. And as we make it into the city, apparently some mysterious guys have shown up at the, I guess, the Pewter City Museum. So we go there to deal with them as well. Here we take down this guy with his Durant, and also Gibble evolves into a Gabite. So now we have a stronger Pokemon in our squad, as well as Doof evolving into a Luxray. So yes, now we have the most powerful version of Doof, which, well, I mean, hey, it's a freaking Luxray. It's my favorite Pokemon for Generation 4. Either way, though, we run into a weird professor, I don't really know who he is, as well as Sectum, and Sectum's, I guess, assistant, Imperio, which is another one of the admins. So we take on Imperio in a battle, and she, well, she has herself a Golbat, which goes down to a singular Spark. Then there's also an Ariados, same thing here. We take it down with pretty much a single one-hit KO. For Frostlass, though, it's a little bit more complicated. We decide to heal ourselves up with a Super Potion and then finish it off as well with another Spark. And Sneasel, same thing. It gets paralyzed, and 2 Sparks is enough to take it down. So we pretty much defeat this person as well, and then Sectum, and then both of them actually decide to run away because they've been able to steal what they needed. We talk to this fellow right here, this man. He apparently knows what's going on, and he's actually, well, an important character in the story. His name is Lumos, or that's at least what they call him. And he's, well, kind of just involved with everything that's happening. He's going through and just kind of dealing with all the bad stuff and trying to help us out. So either way, as he leaves, though, the police shows up and they, well, say that we are the ones guilty. They tell us to surrender and then we're going to go to jail, which, is again a bit problematic. So he decides to battle us once more. He uses a Ponyta this time. Here, of course, we go for our boy Gabite and just go for the Rock Tomb as it takes down Ponyta in no time. He also has a Growlithe again, just like the last battle, but same thing here. It's not going to be much of a problem. The Rock Tomb should be able to take it down, which it does. So now that he's been defeated, he can finally leave us alone after, of course, we defeat his Jolteon as well. So, hey, once we deal with all this, we tell him that again, we are not guilty. And luckily for us, May from also the Hoenn region shows up, and she's telling us that she's the gym leader here, and she tells them that, well, we're not guilty for anything. So now that we've dealt with that, we go over to May's gym, and of course, we're going to be battling her as well. First of all, though, we go and sweep through all of her little gym trainers. They're, relatively easy. We do lose Gabite along the way, but nonetheless, not that big of a deal. And eventually, May shows up, and as for her battle, well, it's going to be a spicy one. She has 3 Pokemon. First time is going to be Trapinch. We go for the Bite, which is almost the 1 KO, hits us with a Bite as well. And then we go for another one, which takes out the Trapinch relatively easily. Next, we have Combuskin here. We also go for the Spark, and we try to go for the second Spark, which is enough to take it down, even though she used the potion, I think, there, with leaving only Breloom as her last Pokemon. Another one of my personal favorites, specifically from the Hoenn region, and just one of my personal favorite Pokemon of all time. The Back Punch does come in and takes us down, so we go into Litwick to finish things off with a Nightshade, and there it is. We got ourselves our 4th gym badge, which is pretty awesome, but still, there is a zombie invasion happening, so what's happening with that? Well, we head towards Mount Moon, because, well, that's the next direction where we have to actually go. As we're heading there, though, we run into a few Pokemon along the way, and once we reach the actual Mount Moon itself, Eric shows up out of nowhere and tells us, hey man, it's been a while, how you been? And as we're about to head inside, it turns out Selena shows up as well, and she wants to battle us. So her Azumarill is the first thing out. We go for the takedown. Doesn't do a lot of damage, and the Dragon Breath does not do that either, but we keep spamming it, and well, eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to take it down with that. We also have Sandstorm up, so that's great, as it's able to do a little bit of damage. She has a Breloom as well. We go for the Rock Tomb. Doesn't, again, do too much damage, but luckily, with the Sandstorm and whatnot, it is done. Solosis and Magby, well, they don't really stand much of a chance either. So yes, we defeat Selena one more time, and now they all want to go and enter the cave, so we decide to follow them along into the cave. As we enter it, we discover that the cave still has a bunch of zombies in it, and we're gonna have to deal with a few of these guys as well. This guy has an Ursa Ring, which actually looks pretty badass. I'm not even gonna lie, like red and gray Ursa Ring actually looks pretty cool. Either way, though, then we have also to deal with a Beedrill, which again, not that big of a deal. We found a Darumaka that I captured and add to the team as well. We kind of already have a fire type, but decided I want to have a full-on fire type. So yeah, next up though, we deal with a few of the zombies which are trying to attack us. Luckily, Stefano shows up again, and he deals with the zombies, but the thing is, he kind of just destroys them. He literally destroys them instead of, like, cleansing them or healing them or anything like that. He literally just uses the power of God to destroy them. So he has to battle us again. Here we go for the Crunch on his Xatu, which takes it down in no time. He also has a Hypno, same thing here. We just go for the Crunch, hoping it's enough. He super potions, but luckily we outspeed and take him down. Bronzer is next. We go for Spark twice, which takes it down too, leaving only really the Kadabra now. So a single Crunch is enough to defeat him, and so we've dealt with Stefano. He tells us that, well, we're going to probably meet again, and then we run into these guys. These guys are called Para and Dox, and apparently they might be a reference to Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't really know, but hey, if you guys do know them, let me know. They battle us in a double battle, and this was honestly a really annoying battle, man. They're using a Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and they have just access to a bunch of these, like, fighting dual Pokemon, right? So Throw and whatnot, and yeah, they were just annoying to defeat. Either way, though, they ask us to choose a direction, and we choose one direction. Apparently, that's the wrong one, and they send us into a maze, which once we exit the maze, turns out that, well, it was a scam. They didn't actually send us, we didn't choose poorly. They just always send you to the maze. No matter what door you choose, both doors lead you to the same place. So they're straight up scammers. Either way, though, now that we are here, well, turns out that we should get going. We go over to Lumos's, I guess, laboratory, where he's doing research on how to find a antivirus to this giant, zombie infection that's going down. So he disappears, and we go over to take on the gym in the meantime. As we enter the gym, though, well, who's gonna be this time? We'll have to wait and see. First of all, we defeat everybody, and then it is going to be Lucas. Yes, Lucas, the protagonist from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, as well as Platinum. He's here. And of course, we got to deal with him. He has a Staravia up first. Of course, we have an advantage here. No matter what the level on this thing is, we do have the type advantage. So a single Spark takes it down. Then he has a Luxray. Here we go for the Crunch, which does a decent chunk of damage. And the Spark from the actual Luxray doesn't really do much for us. So we go for another Crunch and take it down. Then he also has a Lucario. The Crunch wasn't the smartest move here. So instead, we go for the Spark, which does way more damage. However, he has a Hyper Potion. So the second Spark hopefully does enough to actually also give us the Paralyze, which it does. So we outspeed here no matter what he does and take it down. Next up is Monferno. Here we go for the spark again. He goes for Torment, which is a little bit, a little bit annoying, but it's not a problem. We go for the crunch, hoping it's enough to take it down, which it isn't, and he defeats Doof. But we go with the horn attack on Harry, and that takes down him as well. So there you go, guys. We got ourselves another gym badge. However, as we now look, we've got 5 gym badges, and we head towards the Nugget Bridge. As we're heading up this bridge, though, we have to battle a few of these burglars, and we run into this old lady saying she really wants a sapphire so she can get men, boats, and drugs. It is a bit crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Either way, though, we deal a few more burglars, and then we go to Bill's house, and Bill has been literally torn into pieces. There's a letter that specifically on the floor says, "Warning, if you don't want to have the same faith, don't mess with us." And it looks like Sectum and the people from the Nihilist team have done this. They literally ripped Bill apart, man. This is actually pretty gruesome. I'm not even gonna lie. I did not expect this when I entered this house. Nonetheless, though, now that we've heard about this, we have to go and deal with Team Nihilist. We have to stop them from what they're doing. Apparently, they blew up one of the labs here. So as we get there, Sectum, the leader, or I mean, at least one of the leaders, one of the admins is here. He kills Richard, one of the researchers, and now he also wants to, well, kill Lumos as well. So we try to stop him by going into a battle with him. He kicks things off with a Crobat. We are kind of low on everything here, so we go for the Thunder Punch, which does a decent chunk of damage, enough to actually take it down in a singular hit. Houndoom is up next. We get lucky with the actual Paralyze, and then we go for a Fire Punch on Darumaka by switching in, and then we go back into Doof after healing it up, and here we just take down the rest of his Pokemon without too much of a hitch. He now realizes, oh, well, he's in trouble, so he decides to run away after a bit, and turns out that Rich has been killed. The police shows up and again blames us for the explosion of the lab and also for the murder of Richard, which is just ridiculous, man. We didn't do any of this, but unfortunately, that doesn't matter because they get us, they actually capture us, and they finally put us in the police HQ and in prison. Yes, we are actually in Pokemon prison. It is ridiculous. Either way, though, a strange figure shows up and he gives us a book. And while it turns out that something might be in this book, a specific thing that will help us out, specifically a card key. This card key is the thing needed to open the door and let us escape the prison, and that's exactly what we do. We use the card key, and now we open up the cell. So we're gonna have to come back to the cell a little bit later, but first let's actually escape. So we go around with a Pokédoll, and then we just make our way through a bunch of these police officers. There's so many of them, man, and it's mostly just some random battles until we find our way out. Eventually, though, once we battled all of them and gone all the way to the end and the exit, we run into the Paradox Brothers again, and these guys, same thing as last time. They just use these fighting type Pokemon. We defeat them, and they once again send us into a maze. And luckily, though, this maze wasn't too complicated. We find our way out, and we are now at the front entrance of the actual police station. We battle these guys as well in a quick battle, but then this guy shows up. This massive Guardian dude shows up, and we have to take him down. As Ponyta is the first thing up, here we go for the Crunch twice. Then he also has himself a Crocorock, which a bunch of these police officers had, actually, which is really weird because you'd think that would be not a Pokemon they'd be using. Arcanine is up next, though. Here we just spam some Crunch, and a Thunder Punch is enough to take it down, leaving only really the Jolteon now with a single Crunch taking it down as well. And this dude freaks out once we defeat him. Once we exit, though, it looks like the whole city is in turmoil. We run into and talk to one of the trainers here, or actually one of the, I guess, gym leaders of this place, but they tell us, hey, go up and check what's happening to your friends. Looks like Stefano is actually having a whole deal with, Eric and Selena, and Lumos shows up and says that, wait, we shouldn't be dealing with this. There's more important things to deal with. Something is happening, and you need to deal with this instead. We don't have time to deal with the clergy and all that. We have to deal with these guys. And instead, we have to take on Leader Dawn. So yes, Dawn is actually the gym leader of this gym here. So we take her on to get her gym badge now, which is a really bad timing. Staraptor goes down. Luxray goes also down after a Crunch, which is perfect. So now we defeated 2 of our Pokemon. She also has a Roserade, which goes to Magical Leaf. But luckily for us, we can just spam the Crunch, and we are super strong, man. So after a few more hits, she does go for the Super Potion, and we decide, okay, Thunder Punch, maybe that will do more damage, but it didn't. It just got us to Paralyze, which is even better. We go for Thunder Punch on Lucario. It's almost a 1-hit KO, but we do get, unlucky that it doesn't take it out in a singular hit. However, though, her last Pokemon is Empoleon, and here it's a singular Thunder Punch, baby, and there it is. We defeated Dawn, and that means we have our 6th gym badge already. So yes, we've got another gym badge, and apparently there's a war coming. There's a war between the zombies, between Team Nihilus, and also a war with the clergy. So it's just this crazy conflict going down. So basically the zombies are now attacking and taking over the whole lab. We gotta run out this secret entrance, this secret pathway. So that's what we do. We go into the backside of the Lumos lab, run into a bunch of burglars back here, and make it into the underground path. As we make it here, though, we also find that going through here, we can make it to Fuchsia as well as Saffron. In Saffron, we meet the clergy. This Saffron City is actually ran by the clergy. They're the ones controlling this whole place, but we gotta get strength. So to get strength, we go and get the gold teeth from this old man. Then we gotta get this one thing from this guy, which is a meteorite, over to this guy in Pewter City. We give that to him, and in exchange for giving that to him, he actually gives us a ruby. And we talk to this guy in the prison who gives us a sapphire. If you guys remember this old lady, she wanted drugs and men and boats and stuff. Well, we give her the sapphire so she can do that, and in exchange, she gives us tea, which is really not good enough. But nonetheless, though, we take that to her grandson, and he gives us a ticket that was going to be given to one of the burglars in Saffron City. And once we give that to him, well, he's in exchange actually going to give us something as well, which I think is the HM Surf, which is what's needed for us to get to Seafoam Islands. Now, why do we need to go to Seafoam Islands? Well, you see, in Seafoam Islands, we'll find a specific item. First of all, we run around just looking for random stuff. Also running into these, I guess, ice demons, ice ghosts. Eventually, though, we do find what we were looking for, which is HM Strength. But before we can get it, we have to deal with this ice ghost dude and his ice ghosts. And after doing all that, we get HM04. And we also run into, I guess, Mr. Pokemon or whatever, Mr. Fuji. He is here. And as we talk to him, he tells us that Articuno used to be here, but it's gone now, which is a bit strange. So we head back to Saffron City, enter the giant clergy HQ. This is their actual base of operations. As we enter it, it is a massive run through this whole place. It is a giant place. There's a bunch of these guys in here. We get a decent amount of levels from doing this as well, I should point out, and a bunch of new items. But nonetheless, though, after going through this whole place, eventually we run into the Paradox Brothers again. These guys are getting a little bit on my nerve, but fear not, they should be relatively easy to beat because now we know what their team is. It's just Throw and Sock as well as Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and they also have Lunatone and whatnot. So yeah, they sent us into the maze, I hope for the last time. And after we dealt with all that, we show up in this weird dark room. There's just nothing here. As we run around, though, eventually we find this giant mirror. And as we stare into the mirror, something stares back at us. Some weird creature stares back at us, and all of a sudden we're in Lavender Town, and now every door we go through just teleports us back into Lavender Town. But eventually we figure out that there's a puzzle in here. If you go through doors in specific orders, you'll be able to figure out that it's going to send you in the right direction. So as you guys can see right here, if we go through one door, then it sends us to another door, and then if we go through another door from there, it will send us to the middle. So if we're sent to the middle, that means we failed the path we were supposed to take in. So we have to keep trying this until we eventually get it right. And so that's what we do right here. Eventually, we figure it out and we make it out of Lavender Town. However, now we're back in this room again and a ghost shows up in the mirror. A person, a creature, a something. Is it us? Is it something else? This thing says, "Don't you recognize me?" Well, we don't really recognize the thing because we don't really know what it is. All of a sudden, the girl shows up again. You guys may remember this girl from earlier. She shows up again and tells that creature, that thing, to disappear because she's here to actually help us. And then Stefano shows up as well. He tells us that he's also discovered the secrets of the Oblivion Mirror and what's in it. And as we're talking to him, well, we start kind of going crazy. We see our mom, we're back in town. Stefano then tells us it's okay, and it turns out he was actually kind of putting us through this nightmare to show us what the world is like. Either way, now the biggest thing happens. He explains to us what's been going down, but to explain that to us, he first wants to battle. So Zatu goes down first, Bronzong is up next, same thing here, it goes down relatively easily. Medicham, same thing. Also for his Alakazam, we do end up losing one of our Pokemon, but it's fine. We also have a few heals, so that's not too big of a deal, and we just revive our teammates to make sure we can actually take him down. So Alakazam, it's just spamming Nightshade, and it goes down to the help of Sableye. Next up is Metagross. Here we go for the Thunder Punch, which is more than enough to take down the Metagross. And as he's been pretty much defeated at this point, we have now got the time to listen to what he has to say. He tells us the creation of the world, of Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, all of them, Giratina. But he says that also there's another Pokemon, specifically the Unknown, and that the Unknown have kind of the knowledge of the whole world. But that there was a Pokemon before that, a 000 entry the missing number. And that is the thing that Team Nihilus is after. They're the ones that are manipulating everything, and they are using missing no and trying to summon it into the world. It was locked away by Arceus. It was locked away because, and even by the Unknown actually, it was locked away because it was too powerful. So he's just telling us that, hey, you know, missing no is the one causing this, and that's why all this is happening. We go into the secret cavern as basically Saffron City is being attacked by the zombies, so now we gotta make our way out of here. We run into, again, these demon guys, and we try to defeat them, and for the most part, they're just being a little bit annoying, and after defeating all of them, we exit out and we reach Vermilion City, because apparently something is going down here. It looks like missing no has glitched the whole world. It's literally affecting the land now. The virus has reached all of it. As we enter the Pokemon Center, every time we exit it, it changes. So now when we exit it in here, we get to the Pokemon fan club where the mayor is and his wife. We defeat one of the Team Nihilus members, but it doesn't matter because they already got to his wife and they actually took her life. So now we're trying to help him by saving his granddaughter, Hilda. You guys may know Hilda from Pokemon Black and White. Either way though, now that we're here, we defeat some of the Team Nihilus members as we make our way down to the harbor. As we get here, Hilda is dealing with Imperial, one of the admins of Team Nihilus. As we battle her, she has a Crobat as well as an Ariados, which both go down to the help of course, Doof, and Frostless is up next. Same thing here, goes down relatively easy. Her Weavile has now evolved from that Sneasel used to be, and she also has an Espeon. Either way, she is defeated though, and now that she's, well, dealt with, we learn that they specifically want to get their hands on the 3 legendaries. They want to get Ho-Oh, Lugia, as well as Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. Apparently, some of those have already been caught. So, we get on the boat and we go over to one island. Once we are here, we figure out what's happening. These guys are trying to get their hands on the legendaries, and we gotta go stop them. So, now that we are here, we gotta deal with exactly that. We learn what they're up to and which direction they went in. So, we battle through a bunch of them and then make our way towards the location, which would be Mount Ember. Now, you guys may know Mount Ember. It's where normally Moltres will be located, but to get there we gotta battle through, like I said, a bunch of these guys, and eventually when we reach the top, well, it looks like the path is actually blocked off, so we battle this one guy and we learn that Moltres was already taken. So we head over to the next island, and same thing here. It's a bunch of Team Nihilus members. Luckily, though, Selena says that she's going to sacrifice herself so we can go on top of Naval Rock and, well, try to stop Sectum and the others from getting their hands on Lugia and Ho-Oh. As they're trying to get their hands on them, though, it turns out that Lugia and Ho-Oh are not actually here, so we go up and try to stop these guys. We battle, of course, well, specifically Imperium. First, take down the, well, I guess the Articuno in this case, with a single, I think, Spark and Thunder Punch, which is relatively strong, man. Also, Ariados goes down after defeating them, and also, with the help of Selena, we're able to take down, well, none else than Sectum. He has a Crobat, so we go up against him. We Thunder Punch his Scizor, and for a Bisharp, same thing here, just Thunder Punch and a Bite, and it goes down. For Houndoom, it's a Thunder Punch, and then I guess another Thunder Punch, just hoping it's enough to take it down. Moltres is a 1-hit KO, and then there's still an Absol to deal with. After doing all of this, we knock off the mask of specifically Sectum, and we get to reveal his face. And now we learn who he is. It is Eric. You guys may remember Eric. He's one of our rivals. He's one of our childhood friends. And now we learned that he's the one who's been, well, taking people's lives and who's been part of Team Nihilus. Yes, he is actually one of the villains. Which is really crazy. Nonetheless, though, we head over to the Lost Cave. Inside of the Lost Cave, we have to do a bit of a puzzle. This puzzle took a little bit of time to figure out, but it's mostly just using strength to push around a bunch of rocks into these holes. And as you do this, it will eventually cause an event to happen. After doing this, once we exit the actual cave, we run into that ghost creature again from earlier. And, well, it's still messing with us, trying to play with our mind. So we try to deal with it, and that little girl shows up and saves us in this scenario again. We make it all the way down here, we run into the young girl, and then we enter one of the, I guess, chambers where we find somebody, some weird person, using summonings to bring into this world, specifically, well, I guess, the unknown or missing no. We battle this guy though, and he has himself a Spiritomb Shit Ninja, a Cofagrigus, and all of these guys again go down to the help of Doof. Doof is just a overpowered literal beast with that crunch, with that thunderbolt and whatnot. And it turns out though that the others, Eric as well as, well, I guess his partner here, have taken Selena hostage, and well, we tell him to just kill her because we know that they're bluffing, that Eric would never do it. And luckily for us, Lumos shows up just in time and saves us from this situation. Now, however, though, something bad's gone down. Things are not good. Hilda tells us, hey man, before you go and deal with whatever's happening, let's actually have a battle. But before that, we have a flashback. We try to realize, where could Missing No be? Where could the villain be? and we remember that it's most likely in Lavender Town. So we tell the others, Lavender Town, that's where we gotta go. That's where everything's going down. That's where the bad stuff is happening. But before that, we should battle Hilda, because for every gym badge we have, the stronger we get. So Braviary is our first Pokemon that goes down. Excadrill is up next. It goes for the Earthquake, and it's unfortunate for us, but we do have a Quagsire, which we got earlier, specifically for surfing. Nonetheless, though, we try to use it again, but without the rest of our team, without Doof, we can't really do much. We have to revive him a few times, but eventually we do get the win. Then we make it over to Lavender Town, and same thing's happening here, man. The whole world has just glitched. We enter the Pokemon Tower, and now just a bunch of trippy stuff starts happening. First of all, Buried Alive shows up, and then sends us down this giant path, and as we keep making progress, we keep being sent back into Lavender Town and just have to redo stuff. Just go through these weird puzzles, man. As we're back in the Pokemon Tower, eventually we run into this weird room where you have a dude just, well, on his bicycle going back and forth. The weird like triangle, I think, from, I guess, Emerald, when you get the Oxys, and a bunch of weird stuff happening. Nonetheless, though, we run up this path and we run into, well, Sectum again. Here we have to battle him. He just uses a bunch of ghosts, so we take him on and defeat all those ghosts with just a bunch of Thunderbolts and spam. So again, as you may notice, we're also running out of a lot of PP here. So luckily, we did find a bunch of Ethers earlier, and then we make it through a bunch of these traps and stuff again. We even battle, I guess, Professor Rose before we find the others, and it turns out that they weren't really them. It was actually just Buried Alive again. And here it is. This is the boss battle, ladies and gentlemen. Buried Alive, the thing that's been causing all this stuff. A weird, haunted, creepy ghost. We take it on and we take down the Gengar with the help of some crunches. However, we do end up losing our boy Doof here, and then all of a sudden we are like, okay, well, let's revive him just in case. So the white hand comes out, and here it just transforms into our friend Gabite. However, we are stronger, so it's not that big of a deal. We switch Doof back in against the second white hand. Here we go for the, I guess, crunch, then Thunder Punch. We get the actual paralyze, and eventually we just have a little bit left to defeat it, which we do. And there it is. He actually loses to us. And as this all happens, Buried Alive actually just kind of freaks out and loses it. And all of a sudden, we wake up outside Lavender Tower, and we apparently were able to stop things. The virus has been stopped. They were able to find an actual cure for it, and we were able to stop, I guess, Missing No in some way or shape, or at least the Buried Alive was able to be stopped. So ladies and gentlemen, there is still an Elite Four, but I want you guys to do that yourself. Let me know, guys, in the comment section down below how that goes for you, and let me know if you enjoyed the game. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.